All right, joining me now, one of the guys who anchored that giant defensive secondary, Gibril Wilson, safety of the Super Bowl champion New York Giants, and second on the team in tackles. You're team high when you talked about picks. And the big story, obviously, Steve Spagnuolo is staying. Your thoughts when you heard that he was staying and not going to Washington?
You know what? I'm so happy that he's staying here because he's such a great guy, first of all, and he brings a lot of energy to the whole defense. And one thing about him is he's a very even-keeled guy. So those first two games to this last game, he's exactly the same way. So I was happy to hear that he's back with us.
Were you surprised? I mean, you know Washington was going to throw a boatload of money, and don't get me wrong, he's now the highest-paid defensive coordinator in the game. Were you surprised that he stayed?
You know what? I was kind of surprised that he stayed just because I knew Washington was going to throw the whole book at him. But you know what? I'm kind of happy that he's here. He's kind of an emotional guy, and seeing all that stuff that happened during the parade and back in Jersey, I kind of had a feeling that he was going to come back, but I didn't know.
What about Gibril Wilson? You're an unrestricted free agent, so you can go anywhere. And let's be real now. When you win a Super Bowl championship, you become that much more marketable.
Right,
so,
right.
If you had your druthers, do you want to come back to the Giants, or if another team throws you a boatload of money, would you go elsewhere? What do you think?
What? I would love to stay in New York. I would love to stay in New York because there's no place like New York. They're the first team that actually gave me a shot, and I feel a loyalty to them, and I would just love to stay in New York. I mean, you can't beat the city.
You know, the one thing that amazed me about this run is what your secondary did,
right.
And it's almost like it was patchwork, because it was like Sam Madison was hurt one game, Dockery gets hurt, Ross gets hurt, but yet you look at the numbers, look at these wide receivers and what you guys did in this playoff run. Hell, Joey Galloway to just one catch, Terrell Owens to just 4 catches, Greg Jennings to just 1 catch, Randy Moss really to just 5 catches in the Super Bowl. How did the secondary do that in this run?
You know what? Everybody slept on the secondary since day one. You know, everybody talks about the D-line, which is rightfully so. Those guys are great, but you know what? If the D-backs ain't doing what they're supposed to do, then those guys wouldn't have the success that they had. So everybody slept on us, but I mean, we took that as a challenge. Every week we knew that there was a big receiver that we needed to stop and that we needed to get the job done. And guys stepped up. Dockery gets hurt, Sam gets hurt, and we didn't miss a beat. Those guys stepped in. I mean, we had Jeff Pope coming from the practice squad step up, and we did not miss a beat.
All right, so the defense always relentless. The pass rush always gets a lot of recognition, and obviously deservedly so. In your opinion, what was the main reason, when you talk from a defensive standpoint, why the Giants played so well?
I think it was just everybody knew their jobs, and once everybody knew their jobs and knew exactly the task at hand, in every single game we were the last ones on the field to win the game.
Your teammate, co-defensive captain Antonio Pierce was in our SNY studios, and he said he thinks this was the last year for Michael Strahan. What better way to ride off into the sunset with a Super Bowl victory? What do you think? You think he's going to give it up, or will he come back next season?
What? I think Mike's actually going to play one more. Just the fact that Mike loves to prove people wrong, and he wants to probably give it another shot and see if he could ride in the sunset one more time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he'll definitely be here.
You know, a lot of athletes say there's nothing like winning in New York. You've now done it. You guys had the parade earlier in the week. What was that like? The parade going through the city and then going through Jersey. What was that like?
The parade was absolutely crazy. Seeing all those people, I think there was about 2 million people out there. And it was absolutely amazing to see all the confetti coming from all the buildings and people crying, and you got old men crying, you got young women crying, talking about thank you. And the crazy thing I saw was when we were in Giant Stadium, a lady poured ashes on the field.
Really?
And she was crying. And I'm like, why are you crying? He said, this is all my husband wanted, was a championship, and for us to win the championship. And he had just passed away. And I'm like,
Wow.
You're throwing it on the field. So it was kind of amazing, man. It's an amazing feeling to see how much people care, you know.
Yeah, sports plays an important part in a lot of people's lives. You know, I want you to play the part of Jerry Reese, because any champion, they always say, as far as the team is concerned, you don't rebuild, you reload. So if you're Jerry Reese, what would you do as far as for the defense is concerned to make sure that you try to get back to the Super Bowl? What would you do? Who would you sign? What positions do you think you would target?
Bring me back. Bring me back. But no, you know what? Jerry's a great GM. He knows what he's doing, and all the picks that he picks are good picks. So I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing, and he'll get me back, and we'll be straight.
Gibril Wilson of the Super Bowl champion, New York Football Giants.
That sounds good, don't it?
I appreciate your time.
No doubt.